This is Center Stage, everybody. Our guest is four-time All-Star and New York fan favorite, Dwight Gooden. Dwight, I always wondered this, and I said this is a perfect opportunity to ask you. When's your first time that you tried alcohol? At what age?
I was 11 years old. I was at a family picnic, and me and a guy, Patrick McCray, who's like my little league buddy and high school catcher and stuff, we decided let's have a beer. And I had a beer, and unfortunately, it tastes good. And the rest was regular history. Every now and then I'll have a beer at that age, but once I got to high school is really when it started getting bad.
And you've always said that alcohol was a gateway into cocaine, right?
Yes, after the first time I tried cocaine, unfortunately.
When was that?
First time I tried cocaine was after the '86 season. First time I tried cocaine, I liked it, and then because of guilt and shame, and then you know what drugs do. I mean, I grew up with my parents at an old school, where drinking was acceptable, but not obviously any type of drugs. But I would drink knowing it just eased my conscience to really get the drug that I really wanted.
What did it make you feel like?
It gave you a false sense of secure, basically. Being a shy guy, it made me feel, how can I say it? It's almost like if you could take your best day, how you feel like you're upbeat, like you just got your first kiss ever or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
But I felt that for like 15, 20 minutes, and then you're chasing that feeling again, you never get it. But you think you're gonna get it, and it never happens. And so now you're doing more and more, and the more you do, the more your body craves. And the thing is, once you stop and you get some clean time, and you go back, you don't get to start over, you start from where you left off. Now the problem's even worse.
Now, you were in rehab prior to the start of '87. You won 15 games that year, but your pitchers didn't seem to have the explosion. What do you think was behind that?
I think part of it was overthrowing, and then myself trying to live up to others' expectations and my expectations. Unfortunately for me, having success at an early age and early in my career really hurt me the rest of my career. And what I mean by that, by my standards, other standards, and trying to live up to those expectations, where normally a guy would have the first 3 years I had, you would have those maybe in your prime, you know, 26, 27, not when you're 19, 20, 21.
Now, the next season, you go 18-9. Mets go back to the playoffs. Game 4 of the NLCS, you're cruising along, ninth inning with a lead. What happened after that?
I don't remember. No, I'm just kidding. That's one thing I like to black out. Mike Socia. I mean, wow.
Not a home run hitter.
Not a home run hitter. Right. And I just got to talk
to
Mike a couple years ago when it was.
You don't have to look at it if you don't want to.
No, I don't want to. I actually talked to him a couple years ago about it, and I kept playing that tape over, and that changed. I don't care. They say, well, we still had another game, but that changed the whole series. I remember walking Shelby on 4 pitches, ninth inning, and then looking back at it, like I said, let me just get a ground ball, but I'm thinking, let me get ahead of him. And the first pitch I threw, here's a home run. When I replay the tape, I'm looking back at it, I said, okay, here's a veteran catcher. He knows I'm a power pitcher. I just walked Shelby on 4 pitches. He's probably thinking, I'm gonna get a fastball, I'm gonna cheat, I'm gonna start early, and if it's there, I'm gonna try to go for it. And unfortunately, hit it out. Now you go to the, I know I'm fast forward, but you go to the no-hitter, I throw the same pitch to Soriano, and the no-hitter, Curboy, on the tee, he pops it up. And he's the home run hitter, Socia's not, but Socia hits out of the park.
Wow.
And so it's like, but I'd rather have that pitch back. I'd rather have that pitch back than the one for the no-hitter.
Now, in '89, 6th Major League season, you've not yet turned 25, and yet you start having arm problems. Let me give you some numbers. At age 25, you threw over 1,200 innings. Do you think it was that or the off-the-field problems that derailed you?
I think it was a combination of both, but probably the innings. Looking back at it in the studies and everything, I would say more the innings, because if you look at how it went, and even like the numbers you just gave, that's alarming. And then even to go back, in A-ball, I threw over 100+ innings. I had 300 strikeouts.
They would never allow that to happen now.
No, that never happened.
So you can see now where they're babying pitchers, and they don't let them pitch more than 200 innings, and they don't let it increase more than 40 innings each year.
Some of it I don't agree with, but a lot of it I do agree with. I don't agree with the 100 pitch count, get them out, because I think 80 pitches in 3 innings is totally different than 80 pitches in 8 innings. Because, the first couple innings, a lot of stress, men's confidence scoring position, but like if the guys are fouling balls off, you get a lot of strikeouts, that's totally different. And the innings limited, like they stepping guys with innings where they sit you a couple starts and put you back in. I think that brings more fear to a pitcher, especially a starting pitcher, because your body's trained to go every 5th day than it will, in the long run.
Now you pitch another 5 seasons for the Mets, and in those 5 seasons, 25 and 32 during the final 3. You just weren't the same pitcher. How different or difficult was it for you, having been the king of the hill, and now you're actually struggling?
That was very tough from a mental standpoint. And I remember one game when I was with the Yankees. I think Torrey had put me in the bullpen, and I remember it was in Kansas City. I'm walking to the bullpen. It's the start of the game, and by being a lone reliever, you always have to go down at the start of the game because you might come in the first, second inning. And the fans were all over me, and I'm walking to the bullpen, and I'm thinking, wow, do I want to continue doing this? And then, you know, you're like, well, if I just get opportunity, maybe I can pitch better. I want that one more shot. Because at that point, I think I started off 0-3, and I basically put in the bullpen or bench as a pitcher. But guys that you normally get out, whether it's strikeout or ground balls, you're having trouble getting these guys out. They're hitting doubles and home runs. And, I mean, the signs are there that this might be it, but it's hard to accept. You know, I got to throw curveballs, you know, behind in the count. I got to throw two old curveballs. I'm used to, like, if I got you 2 balls on strikes, everybody in the park knows fastballs coming. Now it's different. Mel Stoudemire, having him at a young age with the Mets, and then later with my career, the Yankees was a big influence, making adjustments. He didn't really say you have to do this or do that, but let's just try this and let's try that. And like it turned out, like in '96, whoever thought I would throw a no-hitter at that point, opposed to the '80s against Seattle, who had the best hitting team at that time.
Now, during the final season with the Mets in '94, you tested positive twice for cocaine. You have a suspension ahead of you. Did you think your career was done?
At that point, I thought it was over, especially once Bud City said you're suspended for the year. And then you keep looking at the letter a year. And this is a game that you have been playing since you're 7 years old every year. Now it's taken away for the right reasons, but to accept that. At that point, I basically gave up. That's why I met Ray Negron and Ron Dock. And basically, I met Ray Negron trying to go to Japan. That's how sick I was with my addiction. And not thinking about getting better. I'm like, well, how can I go to Japan to play? He goes, well, here's the deal. Let's work out. I'm going to introduce you to Ron Dock. Let's start getting things right first, and then we'll see about Japan. But we had no intention of going to Japan. Once I met Ron Dock, started going to meetings, and started understanding the disease, things started getting better.
What made you think you still had baseball left in you, though? Because even without the addiction, you had not been pitching well. So what made you think you could still pitch?
Well, at that time, it's all mental. I mean, when you're in your sickness, you get thoughts that you still could throw. And then it's funny because even now, when I go to the men's fantasy camp, you strike out a couple of those old guys. You're like, man, maybe I still got it. You know, especially where these salaries are. You know. But then 2 days later, you can't get out of bed. You're like, no, it's over.
What did you do that year you suspended? I mean, how did you deal with it?
It was tough at the beginning. Like I said, it turned out to be the best thing that happened to me, even though I had problems later on. But I got more involved in my kids' life, you know, picking them up from school, things I never did, spending more time with my wife, and learning more about myself and taking care of the problem now instead of having baseball as a scapegoat.
Well, Doc got to the Yankees after that year, and we'll talk about that journey when we continue here on Center Stage.